Hi Lumen students, it is week 20 and this is your Thursday video. This is just some enrichment ideas, some activities you could do to expand your knowledge of what we've been learning about in language arts or in history. I have a couple of really fun art projects that you could do. One is to make an illuminated letter. Okay, so we're just going to start out with a piece of paper. It can be any kind of piece of paper. And I'm going to draw a big letter. You can do the first letter of your first name or the first letter of your last name. Sorry, this is squeaky. I'm going to do an R for my last name. Imagine you're a monk in a monastery and you're hand tracing the letters, the words of the Bible. As monks began the first letter of each page, they would do a large capital letter for the first word found on that page, and they would decorate it. It was absolutely gorgeous with leaves and vines and flowers and details, images, pictures, all kinds of things would be found on that first letter of an illuminated manuscript. The other thing that they would do is include gold. So some gold leaf here and there to just catch the eye, catch the light. They're really just absolutely incredible works of art. And so I'm going to kind of decorate this. If you've got any gold paint, or I've got a gold paint pen, then I'm going to add just some touches of gold to this. You could do on this letter things that your family loves, things that you like to do, hobbies, sports, just anything at all that you enjoy. You can include on your letter, maybe your family crest. I've got some flowers, as well as some mountains. We really like camping together, a lake. We used to go to Lake Powell all the time. Do some boating there. We also enjoy skiing. So fill the inside of that letter with just images of things that you love and enjoy, things that fit with your personality. And I'm going to choose just certain spots where I want there to be some gold. And I think I'm going to connect my flowers with a little bit of gold paint. Ooh, what do you think? That's awesome. Okay, so that's one project, creating an illuminated letter for a beautiful biblical manuscript, possibly. But we've learned about Gutenberg now in the printing press and how that changed everything. So we're going to make some potato print letters. Just need a potato, cut it into half. And I'm going to try to do a block letter on this potato. Hey, it's easiest if you outline the letter you want to do with a small paring knife, carefully with your parents' permission, and then cut away the parts of the potato that you don't need. Okay. Now remember that if you want our letter, like in a printing press, if we want our letter to show correctly, we're going to need to carve it backwards, right? So this letter won't matter because it's just an O. So I'm carving away the part of the potato that I don't need, and I'm making my O stick up. Okay, you can see that there? If you can see, hopefully you can see when I get it carved. Here is I'm going to try to spell out row, I think. Part of my last name anyway. The W also doesn't need to be upright, does it? Oh, I just think I cut myself. Here I am trying to demonstrate safety on this video, and I'm going to be bleeding to death. Use safe knife practices, guys, okay? So it's kind of fun because there'd be little boys, apprentices that would be in charge of gathering the letters for the page, right? And they were told to mind their P's and Q's because you could grab, right, a P, and if you'd think it was a P, but in reality it was actually a Q, and so you had to watch, right? The lower letters of the alphabet were kept in a lower case, right, down here, and the capital letters were kept in an uppercase, which is where we, from printing presses, where we have developed lower and uppercase letters, having to do with where the metal letters were kept. Okay. There was just some other cool facts about printing presses as I'm working on my letter. There were the small section that they would build with all these letters and tighten up and screw all the letters in was called the chase, right? And so if, a page had to fit into the chase, and so the expression cut to the chase came from that. Get down to the bare bones. Cut out anything that's not absolutely necessary that won't fit in the chase in between these two boards that we have to tighten up for our page, right? So just some other cool kind of facts about printing presses. Some place that a lot of our expressions come from. There's a cool place you can visit in Provo that has some original printing presses that are really fun. Okay, I tried to do this letter backwards. Now I've got paper and paint. So let's see if we can spell out my word and stamp it on a page. So I'm going to paint on my letters. You can also press your letters into the paint. Nice. It's pretty good, I have to admit. For a backwards cut R. Awesome. There we go. Okay, students, have fun if you want to try doing potato print letters. And the final activity that I have for you today has to do with a board game. Remember how when we were reading the history of the world, it was described what would you do if you didn't have written instructions? And all of a sudden you were given a board game, okay, board, and some pieces, okay, and a dice, and you had no idea how to play. Okay. We have some written instructions now for the board games we play, but I'd like you to play around, grab a board game, any board game, and try to create your own rules for that game, okay? See if you can play a typical board game, a regular board game that you have, using your own made up and homemade rules. See how it goes. See, you can't write the rules down. You just got to remember them and verbally tell them to your family and try to keep them straight. See if it is challenging and if it's hard to pass on your game to others without being able to write anything down. I thought that might be a fun way to get into the spirit of our printing press and appreciation for books and written instructions by playing a board game this week as well. Okay, students. I did forget I had one final activity that you could do. It's related to manners and good manners in writing. Okay. I'd like you to have a manners dinner. This is just something you could try. Have a regular family dinner, but sit around the table and have given each person a punctuation mark that they have to use throughout dinner. Kind of hide it under their plate. Those punctuation marks could include, for example, somebody could have this under their plate, and they have to always ask questions. They can't say anything but questions during the dinner. What about if somebody else had an exclamation point by their plate and everything they said had to be an exclamation? It's so exciting. A younger child could just have a period and they could be speaking normally. They couldn't ask questions or act excited at all throughout dinner. You may want to assign somebody in your family to do the dash. Hey, remember that a dash was for an extra long pause. And so in the middle of saying something, they would have to wait and pause longer than normal. Okay, that might be a fun one to put under someone's plate. How about using our semicolon? Remember, that kind of shortened things rather than a period. A semicolon meant you kind of strung everything together really, really quickly, and you said, pass the butter on the peas, and I want to go out to play now. Can I leave mom and dad, please? And so using a semicolon, you would have to kind of string everything together and mix them all up. This would be a fun way to practice different punctuation marks. I can think of another one that would be really, really fun. If you hid under someone's plate some quotation marks, okay, everything that they would say would have to be a quote, okay? And Dad said, and then Susie said, and then Mom said. Okay, anytime they're saying anything at dinner, they have to use quotes, okay? Just have fun, practice good manners, but also good manners in your writing by reviewing those punctuation marks. And we'll catch you next week. Thank you so much, students.